Hey everyone, this is Joe from Reconstruction Life. The strangest thing happened to me at the Reconstruction meeting. It was really weird. Somebody said they wanted to pay me with silver. Is this a thing? Do people do this? I've got some silver right here. These are troy ounces. I don't even know that a whole lot about silver, but you know, it's hard money, and that's really important, especially biblically speaking. The Bible has a lot to say about money. And so money is really just a way for us to engage in commerce, a way for us to exchange value, essentially. Silver is pretty interesting because it does have quite a bit of uses as a regular commodity. So it conducts electricity, it can be fashioned in materials, it's a metal, so it's pretty strong, whereas gold isn't nearly as strong, it's more pliable. So silver does have a lot of uses, but then also as a metal, it's rare, and so it has a limited finite quantity, which is whatever the earth contains, whatever it has, whatever God has given us. So, but it does have value to people, and it has been a method of exchange for quite some time, historically, up until very, very recently. And this was the interesting thing. I was having this discussion with this gentleman who had this strong conviction about silver, and he was bringing up all these different topics about what the Bible has to say. So I kind of have to start there. If we're going to talk about what the Bible says, you know, we're going to be applying it to our life, we really need to understand it. When we're reading our Bible, one of the important things that we need to know and understand has to do with creation. Creation is really foundational for all the things that we understand. And what we understand is that since God created all things, there is a limited, finite supply of everything that exists in the world. Now, creativity and productivity is kind of almost limitless, but the material, natural resources that we do have, they are finite. So it's up to us to do the best job possible to understand it and utilize it and make the best of it. So as far as silver is concerned, that means there's a limited quantity of silver, and it is valuable. God says from the very beginning that there were, that even in Genesis in the garden, that the hills were filled with gold and silver and other precious metals. God says when he wants us to be dealing with each other fairly, justly, he said that in Exodus 20, which is the 10 Commandments, the 8th commandment is, you shall not steal. You shall not steal is a very important principle biblically, and it relates to money, obviously, because people constantly try to steal this. Now, we may try to steal from each other in a one-for-one type sense, where we're just going to take something that belongs to somebody else, just like take it off their property. Okay, but there are other ways that people can try to steal too. They can try to steal from you when they try to cheat you when they're engaging in commerce with you. So they tell you, there's this scene from Fiddler on the Roof when Tevye says, oh, remember there was that time when he sold him a horse and said it was only 6, but it was really 12.
Of course, there was the time when he sold him a horse and told him it was only 6 years old, when it was really 12. But now, it's all over, and we all live in simple peace and harmony. It was really 12 years old.
It was 6.
Well, that would be an inflation of the value of the horse, because a horse can do more when it's younger than when it's older. The same thing can happen with money, and it's been happening for a long, long time. So with silver, it poses some really interesting things with regard to money. So with silver, it's much harder to inflate. You can inflate it, and the way that people have fought against it in the old days is the ridges was one way. I don't know if you can see the ridges here on that. They used to have them on quarters too, and I do have some quarters as well that have those ridges. But those ridges help to identify and help to prevent people from shaving the edges or chipping the edges away and making them width less. So the value of this is minted as a certain amount of weight that it has. It has 0.99 fine silver, 1 troy ounce. So it's based on the mint that it came out of, dictates how valuable it is and how much silver is in it. So that helps to set how much value it has. What this guy was talking about when we were talking at the conference is that he was really, really concerned because the kind of monetary policy that we have right now in our day and age is not backed by hard metals. It's backed on by the Federal Reserve, which really is not tied to anything. So it's what's called like a fiat monetary supply. If you have kids, I have this book that I show the kids. It's called Biblical Economics and Comics. It's a really, really fantastic way to teach your kids about economics. And some of the things it says is that hard money is a blessing, but an inflationary monetary supply is going to be a curse. So it's basically what they say here. Look, I show the pictures here. The paper money scam. So the paper money scam is basically they print money, which is what we have today, printed money that's not backed by anything. So it used to be that paper money was backed by actual currency. So a bank would have an amount of hard currency like silver or gold, and then people would be able to write notes because transporting all of this gold became kind of a pain. It was a lot. So, but each note had to be backed by actual hard currency that you could trade in for. And as long as the currency was backed by this, then it was good. But if you printed it out and you pretended like it was backed by it, so you printed more than was available to your money supply, then that's where you got inflation. And then you could inflate the monetary supply, because if all of those dollars got turned back in, there wouldn't be enough silver to cover them all, and that's what inflation is. So then what it basically happens is that all the value of those dollars goes down. But if you have the silver, you know that you still have that value, because you can't inflate this, because it's just there. It's just there. So there's some really interesting things, and there's so much that you could really say about this subject. But basically, he was really encouraging me and encouraging some of the rest of us to think about using silver to engage in commerce. So that's kind of what we're thinking about doing now. If I can trade with people in silver, and if they can match the other people in that same commodity, then we can be able to avoid our monetary supply being inflated. It would be hard going. It would take a long time to do, but I think it's a worthwhile endeavor and something that maybe my family and I will start engaging in. So this idea of silver and trading in it as a commodity. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. This was a special episode for based on special request, and I'm really glad we got an opportunity to do it. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. Keep checking out my videos. Keep coming back here to the channel. We want to hear from you. We do requests. That's what this is. This is a request. So if you have other requests, let us know. All right, guys? Appreciate it. See ya.